In the frozen Bering Sea, a brutal countdown begins the moment a steel crab pot hits the deck. Each king crab, worth nearly $3,000, has only 2 hours to survive out of water. Miss the window and the entire catch turns to loss. Out here, ice coats every rail, waves slam like hammers, and crews fight both nature and time. Beneath the dark seabed, king crabs roam like armored giants, but once lifted into the light, they become one of the most valuable and fragile catches on Earth. This is the 48-hour race to deliver the world's most expensive crab, fast, precise, and unforgiving. Beneath the Bering Sea's ice lies a world ruled by slow-moving armored giants. At depths of hundreds of feet, king crabs crawl across the dark sea floor, built for pressure, cold, and survival. Their thick shells, powerful claws, and heavy bodies make them some of the toughest creatures in these waters. But their real value appears in a brief, vulnerable moment: the molt. When the shell softens and the body fills with glycogen, the meat becomes unusually sweet and firm, its peak flavor. It's a striking paradox. A creature defined by strength is most prized when at its weakest. Here in the frozen deep storms, shape toughness, fragility, shapes quality, and every harvest begins in this silent, underwater kingdom. King crabs swept across the Bering Sea like a silent red tide, displacing native species and disrupting fragile ecosystems. What began as an ecological problem quickly became an economic lifeline as coastal communities realized they could turn this armored invader into one of the world's most valuable seafoods. But the profits come with a cost. Habitats altered, food chains disturbed, and a constant question of whether we're managing the damage or adapting to it. Efforts to farm king crab offered no escape from the wild. Decades of research failed fragile larvae. Long molting cycles, cannibalism, and extremely narrow temperature limits made large-scale aquaculture impossible. Entire tanks could collapse with a single fluctuation. King crabs simply cannot be raised in captivity. Their value is shaped by ice storms and the unforgiving Bering Sea, where the only viable harvest is still the dangerous one fought in open water. Catching king crab in the Bering Sea begins with a brutal routine lowering hundreds of 700-pound steel pots into freezing, ice-covered waters. Decks are slick, lines are under crushing tension, and one slip, one tangled rope, or one unexpected swell can turn fatal in seconds. Once the gear sinks to the seafloor, the countdown starts because the crabs must be hauled back before they weaken or die. When the pots surface, the pressure only intensifies. Winches roar, cages burst open, and red-clawed giants spill across the deck. Sorting happens instantly in the wind and spray, checking size, shell condition, and stress levels with lightning-fast precision. Only perfect crabs make the cut. The rest are returned to the sea. On this icy battlefield, every motion counts. A careful turn, a quick grip, a steady step on a rolling deck. Saving each crab adds thousands in value. Losing one costs just as much. This is the unforgiving rhythm of king crab fishing, where survival skill and speed decide everything. As winter tightens its grip, the Bering Sea becomes a shifting battlefield of drifting ice. Open water disappears, leaving only narrow ice holes that can close without warning. Captains must navigate these moving gaps with absolute precision. One wrong turn, and the vessel can be trapped or crushed. Cold-resistant trawl systems are lowered through these openings to reach crabs buried under mud and ice. Every drop and pull depends on flawless coordination between sensors, winches, and deckhands. Out here, a jammed pulley, a snapped cable, or a fast-moving ice sheet can end the trip instantly. Hesitation is dangerous. Accuracy is survival. But when the nets rise heavy with crabs, the risk briefly feels worth it, and the crew pushes forward before the ice shuts the sea again. Once king crabs leave the water, the countdown is immediate. They survive only a short time, so crews rush them into chilled seawater tanks held at 36 degrees to keep them stable. From that moment on, every second is managed with precision. At the factory, the pace becomes a blur, sorting, cleaning, steaming, and flash freezing at 22°. Each step lasts only seconds. Any delay risks losing the crab's signature sweetness, firmness, and high market value. Only flawless crabs move on to export markets in the US, Japan, Korea, and Europe. Behind each premium package is a harsher truth. A $3,000 crab exists only because humans race against the ocean's limits. From freezing decks to shifting ice and a non-stop 48-hour deadline, every crab that reaches a dining table carries the weight of storms, danger, and human endurance. Nature controls the clock. We simply try to stay ahead of it.